has determined not to send in large numbers of ground troops. Before him, President Bush made the same decision. Our best military estimate is that to go in and truly affect the outcome of the war, win the war, so to speak, would involve several 100,000 ground troops involved in long and protracted warfare with many casualties. We are not planning to do that, and therefore we will have to accept the outcome that transpires. Now, we are prepared, I repeat again, we are prepared to use NATO air power, robust use of NATO air power, provided the United Nations requests it. Thank you.
Pardon?
What would you like to see the U.S. do with that?
I'd like to see NATO do what they're supposed to do, and we contribute a great deal of money to NATO. We don't want General Rose or Mr. Akashi on the ground saying we're in negotiations when there are no negotiations, and then he said we can't have airstrikes because it might deter negotiations. I talked to Mr. Salajic, the Prime Minister, this morning, and I think he's even at a loss to know what would happen. He just feels that nobody cares, nobody's going to help, and I guess the bottom line is we'll get everybody out of there and let them try to save themselves.
In your view, what is NATO's...
Germany play a role in trying to resolve this conflict?
Well, I think we still have obligations to Europe. We haven't given up on Europe. We've certainly given up, I think, for all practical purposes on NATO doing anything in this crisis, unless there's a big change of strategy. Maybe Mr. Akashi, maybe it's time for him to leave. Maybe it's time for General Rose, let somebody else come in from the outside. He may have too many, he may not be able to provide the leadership because he's so involved in micromanaging what's happened.
Mr.